Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. We are back with another review of The Real Housewives of New York, season 13, episode 4, Putting the Tiff in Tiffany's. This episode was pretty boring. There wasn't very much going on, but we're going to keep this train moving and we're going to keep reviewing it till we get all the way to the end. Child, if you're here for the first time, then welcome. If you are back for a second or third time and you have not yet subscribed, then I'm going to need you to come on and make a decision. The same way Sonja needs to decide to put down the wine. All right, y'all, let's get into it if we're going to get into it. The episode first opens up with Sonja still yelling and pushing Ramona, child, because they are having a full-on fight. Ramona suggested that Ebony go with Wells Fargo as opposed to Chase, and that did not sit well with Sonja and the family crest. Honey, it was on, child. So Ramona said, JP Morgan Chase hasn't paid any of your bills, so you need to get real. She's like, get real. They're not a part of your family anymore. Child, so when she said that, Sonja said, you have nothing. I have family, friends, and a solid financial future. Sounds like a JP Morgan Chase commercial to me, Ramona. Bloop. Okay? So they're arguing back and forth about this, but I have to side with Ramona. Surprisingly, okay? And Sonja, you're making me mad because I have to side with Ramona. Even Leah sided with Ramona. You need to let this go. You are no longer a part of their family. You are no longer a part of the Morgan family. I understand you not wanting to send business to the opponents, but at the same time, Sonja, we're going to have to get some counseling for healing and peace, child, because you will not let this go, honey. I think you need to let it go. It feels like another love TKO. Honey, it's done. Child, you are done with them. Oh, child, you're just holding on and holding on. You really need to let that go. Outside, because Ramona is upset, okay? So she gets mad and walks out. LuAnn comes out behind her. So they're outside, right? And LuAnn was like, I feel like you don't need to be around drunk people. So Ramona said that this is triggering her. Here's LuAnn. She starts crying. I can't be around her. LuAnn always finds a way to bring things back to her and make the situation about her. That's one thing that I do not like about LuAnn. It is all about her, what room she's going to have, how she's going to interact with someone. Like, child, it just really gets on my nerves. So anyway, she's upset because Sonja is drunk and she feels like that she can't be around her because it's triggering her and her drinking. Ramona comes back inside. She apologizes as usual. Her and Sonja make amends for a minute, and all the ladies come outside because they're about to get on the bus and travel back to the house, right? Ebony comes out, says, Ramona, thank you for inviting us or whatever. And then she's saying that Sonja is married to her story. Child, if you don't speak your speech, Ebony, honey, you really need to get some type of therapy and let this go, Sonja, because you're stuck in this constant state of sadness. Ever since this marriage has been over, for every season since they introduced you, all you talk about is the Chase, the Morgan family this, the Morgan family that. At some point, you're going to have to let this go. Over at the house, we see LuAnn getting her majorette on, honey, trying to twirl the baton. Cannot figure out which direction it's supposed to go. Ebony's calling her mom, and her mom sounds like she don't play, okay? Then we see Leah. She's calling her sister, and they talk about her grandmother and what needs to happen because y'all remember Leah's grandmother is sick. Over in the room, Ebony's talking to her mom about her grandmother, right? So her mom is saying, they wanted to see what's going on with grandma because she's having quantity of life but not quality of life. So they want to pull the plug, but they don't know if they should make the decision now or not. I told them that you will be making the decision. She's like, you're just gonna punt the ball back over to me? She's like, yeah, I want it to be your choice to kill mama, not mine. Child, I'm not. I'm trying not to I don't know if that's just their banter. I don't know if she's trying to be funny or what is happening, but I was like, oh my goodness, honey, I wasn't expecting that. That kind of took me by surprise, okay? Downstairs, Ramona and Sonja are speaking, right? So they're talking about what happened last night. They're in the bed. Sorry, they're not downstairs. They're in the bed. Okay, and they're talking about what happened last night. So Ramona tells her, I told her to get a mortgage from Wells Fargo because the rates are just cheaper. It was nothing against you. So Sonja was like, well, why would you do that? Why would you take money from the family? Why would you take money from my daughter? Sonja, at the end of the day, your family will still be rich. Okay, Ebony's mortgage is not going to make or break JP Morgan Chase. I promise you it's not, honey. I just know it's not. Okay, so Ramona is like, why are you saying that? She's telling us in the confessional. I don't understand what Sonja is even talking about. Ebony's mortgage is not going to make a difference. And it's not. This is the thing. Sonja is just an empty nester, jealous of LuAnn and Garth for whatever reason, because he acts like he doesn't even like LuAnn, but we'll get into it as we get into it. And so Ramona says, listen, Sonja, I know you're hurt about a lot of things that are going on, and I just feel like I don't want you to be hurt. I mean, you need to just release that. And I can completely agree with that. It's around 11:30, right? Ramona and Michelle are downstairs putting together things because it's Ramona's turn to throw a little bit of an event, and she's doing breakfast at Tiffany's. So Ramona tells LuAnn that she got the real scoop about Sonja, because Ramona and LuAnn are downstairs talking now, right? She says she's upset about Garth, and as she's talking, Leah walks up. Ramona was like, could you just give us a minute? You know, we're having kind of like a private conversation. Well, when she said that, that ticked Leah off. For what reason, I am not sure, because I'm like this. If you're having a private conversation, and I know it's not about me, honey, let me just give y'all a second. I mean, it's only common courtesy, and this is Ramona's home. Now, normally I don't agree with Ramona, but I don't feel like she was trying to be rude to Leah. I think she was just trying to get some gossip going about Sonja, which it really was nothing. She could have said it in front of Leah because they really weren't talking about much. And Leah was present when Sonja was having this entire breakdown and meltdown. So I feel like she could have talked in front of her, but she just wanted to talk to LuAnn by herself. So Leah is pissed, walking up the stairs, and then she was just immediately set off, and I'm not understanding exactly why. So she goes up to Michelle, and she's like, I don't even know how you could stomach her. She's such a B. Why would you even work for her? Okay, Leah, now you're out of line. Okay, and Michelle was like, oh my gosh, I just love you. Basically saying, honey, I agree. I don't want to lose my coins and my check, but I agree with you. Okay, I love you for that. But at the same time, Leah, that was tacky. Don't involve Michelle. She's already having a hard enough time with Ramona. Child lady can barely remember her name. Please leave Michelle out of it. I understand you're going through something, and I think this is just misguided frustration and anger, and you're, pointing it towards Ramona when Ramona really has nothing to do with it. But don't drag Michelle into it. I didn't like that part. Ebony comes downstairs, right? And so Ramona is asking her about the table setting and how it looks. Well, child, why does she do that? Leah goes off, honey. She's being nice to you, but you can't be nice to me? Ebony's like, what happened? Leah's like, no, you don't have to deal with her. She's being fake and phony. Leah, I understand that you and Ramona got into it last season, but let's let it go, okay? Let's let that go. You are now in her home. This is a brand new season. Stop trying to say that, she's being nice to Ebony. I feel like you're trying to say she's being nice to Ebony because she's black. That was what I was taking from that. And so I wish you would really not do that, okay? And please do not put Ebony in the middle of it. Like, whatever you have going on with these people, just handle it yourself. The next thing you know, Garth comes over, right? This is the guy that LuAnn has been telling us all about. So Sonja, in the confessional, she's like, I'm happy she found her love or her big D or whatever, but he isn't the best thing since sliced bread. Sonja, I'm going to need you to stop hating, okay? Because it's sounding real hateration-like, if you ask me. So I'm going to need you to pipe down, child. But when he came in, he looked like he didn't even know LuAnn. It looked like she had hired him to come there for the day. Or was it just me? I don't know. I didn't feel any chemistry between the two. I feel like LuAnn was more smitten with him than he was with her. Even though it was just for a brief moment, I could just feel that. Ramona comes in with her teeth all bucked out and she's flirting. You know what I think is so hot? The way he talks to LuAnn. I mean, he just talks to her. The way he just talks to her and flirts with her. Oh my goodness. We know y'all like to share men in this franchise, but please leave Garth alone, okay? Please. Anyway, Ebony says, I'm not going to be able to make it to work out because, I'm going to have to get my face beat, honey. That's a priority. I know that's right, y'all. Ebony was like, listen, I got to get these bags under control. I'm not going to be able to join you guys out there sweating to the oldies. You do that on your own, and I'm going to go upstairs and get my face beat. All right. So she goes on upstairs, and she's getting her makeup and her hair done. The ladies are downstairs fake working out with Garth, and Leah comes down to get her hair done as well because she doesn't want to have anything to do with the ladies. Ebony was like, well, how are you going to deal with Ramona? Because I know y'all have a little something going on. She said, listen, I'm going to take a vow of silence up until 6 p.m. Can you help me out? Like, can you tell the ladies that I'm doing this? She's like, yeah, girl, I'm a professional voice for the voiceless. Okay, Ebony, I see what you did there. Voice for the voiceless. Yes, ma'am. I see what you did there. Okay. So over on the other side, the ladies are still working out, but then everything's over, right? So they're getting ready to go down to get on the bus because they're going to shuck oysters. So Ramona is asking Leah, she's like, do you need a heavy coat? Leah has gone straight mime on Ramona, not saying one word. This whole passive aggressive 2-year-old behavior that Leah is exhibiting, it's just crazy. Okay, like Leah is getting on my nerves. So Ramona asked her again. She's like, do you need a heavy coat? Because it's going to be cold. She's still not saying anything. So Ramona said, Leah, do you have laryngitis? Ramona, it's laryngitis, okay? It is laryngitis. Oh my goodness. So then Ebony's like, no, she says she's not going to be talking. Okay, thank you. I hope you keep this vow all the way through the remainder of the season. On the bus, LuAnn calls Garth to ask him about the lamb. So Sonja's like, she's calling Garth to ask about the lamb. Well, did you give him money for the groceries as well? So Sonja is making fun of her and Garth. Sonja, you're like a dog with a bone. Let it go. Ebony's like, listen, he's a beautiful man. I see why you like him, but he's just not my speed. So Ramona's like, he's everyone's speed. He's not, okay? Because she just said he's not. So then she's like, no, I like him with more of a dad bod. And Sonja was like, yeah, you like him kind of bald. She's like, yeah. Then Sonja says, Lou likes him bald because she slept with my bald guy. She slept with Tom. Here we are. We're about to fight over Tom. LuAnn said, no, you just screwed him. But that was not your guy. Sonja was like, no, he proposed to me. LuAnn was like, he was my guy. And Sonja's like, he was my guy. I'm like, oh my gosh. Are y'all serious right now? I know we are not arguing about Tom. Child, this is just ridiculous, honey. See, this is how Portia should have done it. She should have just got Simon in Fallon's face, like LuAnn and Sonja, honey, and still been friends, child, because I guess that's how y'all do on these housewife franchises, allegedly. So Ebony pipes up, and she says, listen, I'm going to tell you about yourself for a minute, LuAnn. And she's like, me? Tread lightly, because y'all know how LuAnn is. And Ebony was like, no, I'm going to tell you about yourself. Last night, she had a breakdown, and you saying that she's just a one-night stand that's only good for sex, that's not cool. Honey, don't be all uncool, honey, because y'all know how LuAnn likes to use that line. So she's like, I feel like she needs words of affirmation, not her friends tearing her down, because LuAnn was like, you just used you for sex. Tom said you were a one-night stand. All the guys only have sex with you. She was just really laying into Sonja, right? So the girls continue arguing, and LuAnn is like, you're just jealous. You're just jealous of us. And Sonja said, I am jealous. I'm jealous you spend more time with him than me. Sonja, I call BS. You do not care about this woman spending time with him, because how I know you don't is the fact that you didn't even speak to them before filming. For 9 months during quarantine, you didn't speak to LuAnn or Ramona. So that's some BS. Ebony said, listen, they start talking again. I guess they semi-make up. Ebony said, I don't get them. Like, they go at it, and then 2 minutes later, they're okay. She said, listen, if one of my friends said the things LuAnn was saying to Sonja, honey, I would be in my feelings for a minute, honey, as you should. They arrive for the oysters, right? Leah is still being passive-aggressive, not speaking. So they're being educated on how the oysters are made and all this kind of good stuff. The guy shows them how to shuck the oysters. And Ramona has been shucking this oyster for 45 minutes. Ramona can't do nothing. Have y'all noticed that? The only thing she can do is drink Pinot and be rude. Honey, I just don't. She cannot accomplish anything outside of that. Oh, and being married to Mario and being a mom. Okay, that's about the extent of it. Leah has no follow through with this vow of silence, right? So she starts talking. She says she's nervous about Heather coming. She said, I only met her for 5 minutes, and I know she's talked about them in the press, and I'm scared she's going to talk about me in the press. And what about Ebony? Ebony is fine. She doesn't know Ebony. Let Ebony form her own opinion of Heather, okay, even though we could really care less. Second of all, she is not going to be talking about you in the press, because I'm sure she could care less about you. Just a side note, if you guys happen to hear some noise in the background, they are doing yard work outside. So please excuse the noise. I don't know why they coming all up and through my review. Okay, sorry about that. So Ramona's like, well, she is coming over, but Heather's a good person and she is a good mother. Okay. So So Ebony was like, okay, why do we care about her being a good mother? Like, what does that have to do? What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? You can be a serial killer and still be a good mother. And I mean, I agree. Then Ramona drops a bomb that Heather is going to be staying over. And Leah was like, staying over? Is she going to be, where is she going to be? Ramona's like, she's going to be down in the basement. Ramona, you just stirring the pot, honey. Production told you to make sure that Heather stayed because you know that's going to set Leah off. Over at the other side, the ladies return and Heather gets there, right? So when she gets there, the only person downstairs to greet her is Sonja. But Sonja didn't really greet her. She walked up to her and was like, hey, do you have any hairpins? Heather's like, yeah, sure. So Heather gives her some hairpins, right? And she's like, I know you're the queen of updos, so I'm going to need you to help me with mine because I feel like the whole breakfast at Tiffany thing, it needs like an updo, right? Here's Sonja in the confessional. I know Heather talks about me on her podcast, so I'm not helping her with her hair. I'm really not. Okay, well, you took those bobby pins, Sonja. Sonja is crazy. Heather was saying, you know, she felt like it was cold, but when she got there, but then she got banished to the basement, honey. So she's trying to figure out why other girls treating me this way. Heather comes down, but Sonja said she's not getting drunk around Heather because she doesn't want Heather to go and talk about her on the podcast, right? Leah has put in everybody's mind, honey, that Heather is in these podcast streets talking about the girls. So now the girls are a little bit afraid to even say anything or do anything around Heather that could possibly incriminate them, right? So Sonja lets her know, listen, I am not going to be drinking because Heather is here, and I do not want to do anything around her that will end me up on her podcast. So Heather's down there mingling, okay? And so then she asked Ebony a little bit about herself, and Ebony said, look, I know exactly what they said about Heather, but I found it refreshing that she actually asked me about me. That's pretty rare because these heifers ain't asked me nothing about me. Honey, they smiled, nodded, and now I'm here in the Hamptons. Child, they don't even know me. Child, she could be a serial killer, child. They don't know nothing about him. Over at the table, LuAnn asked Leah about her podcast, right? So LuAnn was like, it's not gaslighting. It's kind of like lighting the match or something like that. She's to that effect. But basically, she was being messy boots, okay? So she was trying to get it started and getting Leah revved up so she can expose Heather. Child, and it fell as flat as it could be. Flat as Ramona's behind, honey. So then she said, well, yeah, you know, I had my podcast for years. I didn't know Leah had a podcast. That's something new. So Leah said, yeah, I had it for years, but I just got tired of talking, so I decided to just let it go. Okay. Well, all you do is talk, so I'm a little bit shocked, but okay, girl, now set yourself off, honey. So Leah said in her confessional, you know, if I were Heather and I knew what I said, I would probably clam up at the mere mention of a podcast. She's not clamming up because she could really care less. Okay, she could care less what you talking about, and she could care less what these heifers talking about. So Leah asked about Heather's podcast, right? She said, yeah, I have a podcast. And so Leah said, didn't you say LuAnn did hard drugs? Honey, she just went right into it. She was like, let's get into it if we gonna get into it, honey. We're not about to hem and haw. Didn't you say that LuAnn does hard drugs? She's like, what? No, that was a headline. Leah said, no, it was in the article. Heather's like, no, I didn't say that. So then Leah said, if someone did drugs around me, I'm not saying anything about it. So Heather said, well, neither am I. Child, oh my goodness. So Heather was like in her confessional, she said, you know what? This is looking like an ambush. Well, I'm glad you're aware because it's definitely an ambush. Leah said, yeah, so she starts reading the podcast article. Honey, she got this thing on speed dial. Okay, she can read it, probably got it memorized. So she starts reading it. And so Heather said, well, that was just a casual conversation between me and Carol. Well, what did she say Carol's name for? Because we know LuAnn cannot stand Carol. So LuAnn said, every time I see something with Carol's name, I fast forward it or I block it. She is a rat, Ratsville. Honey, don't get LuAnn. Do not get LuAnn her deep voice started, child. So then Leah reads on, honey. She reads another piece about LuAnn not being a real friend. So Heather said, yeah, I said that. That's true. Honey, this is not going well. Okay, I don't know if everybody else is aware, but this isn't going well. So LuAnn said, don't throw me under the bus because I'm relevant. I'm saying, because I mean, I don't understand what we're arguing about. Heather is saying she didn't say it. She's reading the article. And so Heather said that Leah is reading this, but really it was just clickbait, and the article was all potatoes and no meat, honey. There was no meat to the potatoes. The article was all headline and nothing else. There was no substance. So Heather said, LuAnn, I would like to get to know you on more than just the surface level, right? So after she said that, LuAnn was like, yeah, I would like to get to know you too. That sounds cool. Okay, we can get to know each other. Child, this was a failed attempt. Leah, these heifers could care less. I'm just telling you right now. So they start talking about sex for whatever reason. Ramona gets upset and walks away from the table because this is an elegant dinner. And for once, I have to agree with Ramona. But in the same token, y'all talk about all kinds of stuff at dinner. How y'all share men, who slept with who, and all kinds of stuff. But Leah, this right here was very unladylike, for lack of a better word. So Leah starts saying, if a guy doesn't eat your ass, then he isn't a man. That was tacky and disgusting. And I don't want to hear about you tossing someone's salad while I'm trying to eat my Caesar salad. Honey, I don't want to hear about that. So the fact that you said that, I feel like that part of the conversation could have been left out. It was tacky, it was classless, and you're declassing the show. Honey, and that was the end of the episode. See, I told y'all, much ado about nothing. Okay? Nothing was going on. And I pretty much did the best I could do. Please do not hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. We will see what happens next week. Let's see if the train picks up steam. Let's see if they're still in the Hamptons. Child, let's see how things work out. And I'm hoping to see more of Ebony come alive. I don't want her to be so muted. I want her to actually bring her personality out. So we will see how that goes. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.